Shut up and sit down.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Corporate Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Corporate Gamer. This is episode 11th, recorded on May 18th, 2017, Microsoft VR. I hope that everybody had a wonderful week. I know that summer finally hit Montreal. I think it was long awaited. And good news, I know if you guys listened to last week's episode, we had floodwater issues, at least in Montreal and the surrounding suburbs. The water has receded. It seems that it's getting better and better every day. Finally, we're getting a couple, 2-3 days without any rain, which is helping a lot. And there's still a lot of work to be done. There's been a lot of damages to a lot of houses, but at least part one is getting the water back to where it belongs, and it seems to be slowly getting back there. I think we're still a few days away from going back to normal levels, but at least there's not as many homes that are being affected, so that's good news. Red Cross also had a drive, and there's a few other places in Montreal, so I'm sure if you just call 311 in Montreal for information, they'll be able to help you out to see what organizations are willing to help. So that's it for that. Also wanted to announce, I started recording a brand new podcast with my brother and my two buddies, Steven and Johnny, for our Roundtable.ca. It's a podcast about pretty much just a bunch of fans just commenting on different questions on entertainment. So the first episode, which was released last week, actually was released this week, is a Summer Movie Madness. It's part 1. There's a part 2 coming next week. So we discuss about all the blockbusters coming out and who we think is going to be the sleeper hit. And stuff like that, and some questions that we have about the music industry, about reviews on certain CDs. It's just us having fun, and it gives us a reason to meet up once a week. So go on iTunes, go on Google Play, SoundCloud. Just look up a Roundtable.ca podcast. Should be the first result, and you're good to go. And last but not least, this week is the official, actually yesterday, which was May 17th, was the official 375th anniversary of the city of Montreal. For the occasion, they had a big opening for one of our big bridges here in Montreal, the Jacques Cartier. They lit it up. A lot of critiques surrounding that because it was millions and millions of dollars to get that done. And I think it's money that could have been spent somewhere else. So a lot of people have been complaining. All in all, though, I think people are thinking of Montreal in a better light. It hasn't been an easy 20 years or so. Vacancies, retail. It's not the city that it was once. It once was. It's lost a lot of its. It still has its charm. I mean, everybody that comes to Montreal and is living in Montreal, where you have the city of Montreal logo tattooed on our hearts. But I think there's a lot of better things that can happen for the city of Montreal. I think they can do so much better. And the one thing they can do is probably fix the potholes. I think that would be a number one thing. But that's not a Montreal thing. That's a Quebec thing. So that's a little bit different. But yeah, I love the city of Montreal. I love the fact that we have various sports in this city. The festivals that we have in this city. We lost a few through the years, like the International Film Festival used to be out of Montreal, now it's out of Toronto. The Montreal one went to the pits. I think last year they had trouble getting people. So, like I said, it has a lot going for it, but I think it could be a lot better. For me, when I think of Montreal, I was born and raised in Montreal. In fact, I'm the typical Italian that actually never left the home. I've been living in the same home my whole life. Due to circumstances, I inherited the home, and now I live with my beautiful wife. And so born and raised in Montreal. For me, what makes Montreal unique, at least in my area, it's the lanes, alleyways. We used to have, when I was a kid, I don't know how many hours I spent in alleyways and lanes playing hockey with my friends or playing baseball with my friends. It's one of those unique things. It's not everywhere in Montreal. The older parts have them, but it's one thing that it's unique to Montreal. It has the feeling of the alley. It's like you're not scared going in the alley. It's just like it's backyards. It's open, and you don't feel as if you're threatened at all. Not like the movies where you think you're going to be mugged in the middle of the night. And they're maintained as well. The city for once at one point used to maintain them. I think now it's the local organizations that do. But it's something that's unique to Montreal. There's that. There's a spiraling staircases, which is very unique to Montreal. And I don't think there's any other city in the world that has that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. You see those in movies. You really think that it's, very unique. Probably not the most practical staircase, especially when you're trying to bring a couch or a fridge. But it's unique to Montreal. And and to be honest, the sports scene. And this is where I really hope the Expos do come back, or at least the MLB comes back. One of the biggest memories I used to have is this was a sports city and not a Montreal Canadian city, and I'll explain. Yes, now we have the MLS with the Impact. We had the Impact for a while, even in other leagues. CFL that's come and gone a few times. You have local sports, but the major sport in Montreal is the Montreal Canadiens. And then I think that was offset when I was a kid with the Montreal Expos, because once the season used to end, you had the Montreal Expos to look forward to. And I miss that. Even all these years after the Expos have left, I still miss the going to watch a ball game, even though it was in the decrepit Olympic Stadium. I think that's missing from Montreal. The CFL, there's a lot of critiques. People that love it. Usually people that don't, they like the NFL and complain that the CFL is like a copycat or a dumbed down version of it. Could be not true. It's really up to opinion. However, in order for the Montreal Alouettes, which is our team, if they're winning, people are there. If they're not winning, people are not there, which is a shame because we should support our teams no matter what. Same thing with the Impact. This year they're having a horrible year, but it'd be nice to see them sell out most of their games just because it is a professional sport, level sport, and we should support our local teams. But it seems that it's not in the collective mind yet. It's not mainstream. Whereas the Expos was mainstream for them. Even if people didn't go, they used to know who the Montreal Expos were, and they were kind of following from afar. I don't get that feeling from the Impact. There's massive fans for the Impact. Very passionate fans. Same thing for CFL and the Montreal Alouettes, but I just don't feel that people care enough about those teams to support them in the long haul. And I think that we've become a Montreal Canadian sports city instead of being a Montreal sports city. That's just me. That's just my honest opinion. But for me, the Montreal Expos is the memories that I have. Playing in the lanes, playing hockey, street hockey in the alleyways. So the 375th anniversary is on its way. There's probably going to be other goodies during the summer months, during the festival months to celebrate Montreal Montreal as a whole. I'm sure the museums are going to have some kind of gallery and some showings about the history. But yeah, that's it. That's what I did in the last week. In terms of non-gaming. In terms of gaming, I've continued to play Gianna Sisters, Twisted Dreams, the director's cut. It's a platformer. I think I mentioned it last week. It's a platformer reminiscent of Rayman Legends, meets Mario Brothers and Sonic type of thing. Pretty cool. You get to you get to flip flop between two different characters or different sides of the character, which is pretty cool. The other one that's new that I don't think I've mentioned before is Temple Run 2 on iOS. When I first downloaded it, it was like on the top of the free games list, and I downloaded it. I'm like, okay, whatever. When I first played it, I'm like, this is very reminiscent of Pitfall, an iOS game that I downloaded, I think a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. Very similar. You're pretty much, it's a third person perspective. You're following the person and you're trying to gather some treasure and, move over some obstacles. And there's a distance to travel, and the further distance you get, the better it is. You have daily challenges that will gain you some current in-game currency. You get to discover new things. You have new maps that get unlocked as you go along. It's pretty fun. It's one of those games where I feel like I've played already, because it was, when I downloaded Pitfall, it felt like a Pitfall. It was like a natural evolution from what I had played on my Atari 2600. It just felt like a proper evolution. This just feels like a copycat. And since this is the second game in the Temple Run series, I'm assuming there's a first one, which is very similar. And I find a lot now, there's a lot of copycat games. A lot of games that are very similar to each other, especially the puzzle games. That's intense. They're very same model, same thing, just a different skin essentially, and it's kind of becoming annoying. But they're free, so people keep downloading them. If you want a game that's a little bit different, normally you have to pay for it. But I mean, it is what it is. There's too many copycats, and this is another one. It is fun on its own. I mean, it's a fun game. It's enjoyable. It's one of those games you play for 5-10 minutes and you're good to go. But I think that it fails in a sense that there's not enough on the table to merit being a good game. I think it just copies from what worked on other games of the similar genre, and it just went up. It just continued along that. It took the snowball and it ran. So that's it for what I played this week. Now, news of the week. So, as the title indicates, this week, Microsoft released or announced a new Microsoft virtual reality system or gadget called Windows Holographic. So essentially, I think they've partnered, or at least they're partnering with Acer to create party headsets, starting roughly around $299 to $329 if you pre-order. They also have Microsoft has also announced a bundle for $399, which includes a headset from Acer and a pair of VR motion controllers by Microsoft. So they're actually making the motion controllers. So everybody is probably going to be asking, okay, great. So it's another player in the space. They're trying to compete with, I guess, Sony for their PlayStation. Tentatively, I'm assuming this will be something that will be released on the new Scorpio. Not sure how well it's gonna go, but we'll see. But it's in the right direction. It does, however, use a different type of technology compared to other other virtual reality sets like HTC Vive, for example, or the Oculus. So what Microsoft uses is called an inside-out method, which means that the headset itself will track the controller. So it's actually everything is in the headset. Whereas HTC Vive uses an IR sensor separate from the headset, and Oculus uses a USB connected IR cameras. So there's no extras you need to buy. Everything is in one headset. The headset actually does look pretty good, I'll be honest. It doesn't look out of place. I think personally, until there's no more headsets, I think it will be good. But it's a step in the right direction. I guess it's the next evolution. Basically, this is for, a lot of people were saying one of the main complaints about this was that the price was always high. You needed a high-end machine to run it. And this apparently is not the case. You can run it on a lower-end PC. There's no extras needed. You don't need an extra camera. Everything is good to go. You just need to buy the headset and the controller if you wanted to for roughly about $400, which is good. The price is actually not too bad if you compare it to the other prices out there. I think it's still a little steep for families to use. And the jury is still out there to see how much the VR spectrum will evolve from, the dizziness and the headaches and so on. So I don't know if that's the hardware that causes that or it's the software, the games that do it. But, when we'll see it, well, I guess we'll know. Also, this is coming on the heels of the fact that Steam VR is going to release also a similar thing with Knuckles for the hand controllers. So we'll see if that comes out. This may actually be, very similar, especially with Steam VR, if it's a similar product as HD DVD and Blu-ray. If you guys remember HD DVD and Blu-ray at the launch of the 360, Microsoft was pushing HD DVD with their 360. It was an extra bundle. And PlayStation was bundling their Blu-ray player, which is great. Now, between HD DVD, although HD DVD was a superior codec and product, Blu-ray won in the end. So it made HD DVD obsolete. However, Microsoft was smart about it by having an external bundle, so you didn't have to buy it, and it didn't actually make the 360 more expensive. Having said that, this could be a similar thing for Scorpio, long shot anyways. I'm assuming with the Scorpio, they would go with the Microsoft Holographic. It's been rumored for a long time that fans have been saying they kind of want personally not for me, but I've read online on forums and on different sites that they would like to have an extra, VR set released for the Xbox One. It's very possible that it may come down to Windows Holographic versus Steam VR, and if they're both willing to run on lower PCs and lower systems, if Steam VR picks up steam, no pun intended. If it picks up steam, it may very well be another way of them implementing it into the Scorpio. It's a very long shot. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to just go with Windows Holographic and pray for the best. But from what I've read so far about the product, it seems to be better than the PlayStation VR in terms of hardware. But only time will tell in regards to that. So that was our first story. Microsoft VR with the new Windows Holographic. And on the topic of Microsoft, let's continue in the same vein. Microsoft confirms that keyboard support for Xbox One games. So finally, after rumors and after Phil Spencer saying that this will be eventually available. Well, the eventually is now. I'm assuming they're going to announce it at E3. I'm assuming officially it's going to be with a software update. you'll be able to hook up a keyboard. However, there is no news on a mouse, at least not that I can see. So that may take away from it a bit. But yeah, so one of my buddies that I work with has been saying for years, and it's not far-fetched actually. I think since the original Xbox games days, basically Microsoft wants a PC for the living room. That's it. It's a static PC. You don't need to upgrade very often. It does everything that you need to do, in terms of leisure stuff, watching movies, playing games, and so on. And this is going towards that, right? So I think the PS4 already has support for keyboard. This will just, I think it was way overdue. It should have been released. This support should have been released. It will be released for certain games, but I don't think I know which ones. I didn't look it up, which ones it is. But yeah, so it's going to be available. I guess it's also going to help the people that play cross-platform, so Windows 10 and Xbox One. It's a fair challenge. It's just naturally easier to use a keyboard in a shooter game and a mouse than a controller. Every time either one uses a controller, the controller guy loses and gets killed. So this is news. I think it's going to be a good thing. I don't know if I'm going to use it personally, but a lot of players have been asking this for a very long time, and I think it's due. So yeah, keyboard support for Xbox One. Next on the list. Actually, this is brand new. I just learned about it yesterday. Netflix to produce The Witcher TV series. So, if you don't know what The Witcher is, it's an RPG game that's very popular. The third game was released a couple of years ago. It's a very engaging game. It's very fun. It can be difficult. It is, but it is fun to play though. It's one of those games, and a lot of people that have played Witcher, they've loved it. There's a lot of players that are dedicated to this game. It's streamed very often on Twitch. So essentially, this is going to be the TV version of The Witcher, which is based on the novels by, I'm sorry if I mispronounce his name, Andrzej Sapkowski. And apparently, which I did not know, the writer of the novels actually never profited from the game series, doesn't even get any royalties or anything, which really sucks from a creative's perspective. I hope, I didn't look into this, but I hope the books actually increased in sales during that time of The Witcher. I don't know how many players knew that The Witcher was an actual book, but yeah, it's going to be released. I have confidence in the fact that it's Netflix doing it. So far, there's not too many series that I can say that they've missed the mark on. In terms of production, in terms of, even if they get another, company to do it, they haven't missed the mark very often. And I'm hopeful that they're going to be able to do a good job here. The problem that I find is still an adaptation. If it's an adaptation from the book, it's not too bad. If it's an adaptation from the game, then we're in for trouble. Usually that's not a good combination, movies and games, or TV shows and games. But yeah, this is good news. I'm a big fan of the Witcher series, and I really, really hope that this is going to be a success. And since it's on Netflix, there's no reason for anybody not to subscribe to it. I think now with their library of new content, the stand-ups that I am able to watch, they're heavily investing in new stand-up comedies, which is really good. And so The Witcher coming to Netflix. I just don't know when it's planning to go, though, onto Netflix. I'm not assuming anytime soon, considering that it's probably next year sometime. Either early 2019 or late 2018. Alright, next on the list. So, have you had your fill of Mario Brothers on mobile? Well, if you did, and you like Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda is coming to mobile. So there's going to be a released Nintendo game for Legend of Zelda. A lot of people liked, I guess, Super Mario Run. A lot of people complained about it, especially the pricing. I know Nintendo was very disappointed in the sales for Super Mario Run. They expected a lot better sales, but I think people bought the free version and said, "Meh," and then they just didn't buy it. I didn't know they also released Fire Emblem Heroes on mobile, which have been pretty good in terms of sales. So basically, both games together made about roughly 176.4 million US, which is about 20 billion yens, which is actually nothing to sneeze at, but it's not as good as what Nintendo expected it to be, but it's not deterring them from creating a Breath of the Wild mobile game. I don't know where they can go with this. I'm hoping it's not a run type of game, which seems to have been popular with Mario Run, but also Rayman Origins or Adventures on iOS and other devices. I would buy it. It's probably going to be about the same price as Mario Run. I'm assuming it's going to be around $10 to start and $13 after the first month or whatever it is. I think it was $14.99 for Canadians to buy it. So Zelda will be coming to mobile, and basically this will be. It doesn't say when it's going to be released, but it's going to be coming soon. I'm assuming around 2018. Maybe early 2018, maybe at the same time as they're releasing, if they're releasing DLC for Zelda, which I don't think they are, but it could be one of those things where it's a spurt, or right after Odyssey. Odyssey should be on the Switch, should be released in December, so maybe January or February in the dead period. That could be where they could release it. So Zelda on mobile, I know a lot of people will be excited, so let's hope it's fun. Next on the list, continuing with the Nintendo trend, Nintendo has released plans for E3. The reason that I kind of brought this up, it's funny because they said, they've announced a bunch of things, and they actually didn't. They just said that they're going to probably be showing Odyssey, which is the only game I think they've mentioned. And so, this is from Game Rant, so I'm just going to read what they said. On social media, Nintendo detailed 3 different components to its E3 2007 proceedings. The Nintendo Spotlight will take place on June 13th at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Well, that's wrong. I think it's 12 Eastern Time. I think they made a typo. And will be streamed at e3.nintendo.com. It will feature a look at Nintendo Switch games for 2017, including Super Mario Odyssey, which was announced for the Switch earlier this year. There's also... Now, that's what it says. There's no other games that were mentioned. There's a few that have been kind of rumored. So there's Pokemon Star, which is rumored, which is it's a port of Pokemon Sun and Moon. And then there's a potential rumored Mario and Raving Rabbids crossover RPG, which is, I'm not sure how that's gonna go, but yeah. So I released this because it really, the reason why I'm mentioning this, because it's not really important, is the fact that last year all they had was Breath of the Wild. That was it. I don't think there was even a keynote. It was just them there. This year doesn't look that much more. Now there's a few optimistic surprises. We were hoping last year for surprises, but this year it doesn't look like there's a ton. I'm not sure if I'm ready to believe that there's this rumored and this rumored. I mean, even if the rumors are true, that's like 3 games. So I'm not sure if how much they're going to be announcing, but at least it's a step up from last year, right? So yeah, Nintendo at E3. Now on to the games of the week. All right, so these are for games released between May 15th and May 21st, all platforms. So on Tuesday, May 16th, which is 2 days ago, Injustice 2 was released for PS4, Xbox, and Xbox One, which is very anticipated. I think it's going to do really, really well. It looks really good. The first Injustice was actually pretty fun too, as well. So yeah, I may pick it up at one point. However, I think it was $79.99 when I passed by EB Games, which is a little much for this type of game. I'll wait for it to go on to be a much lower price. The Surge also is being released for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Farpoint and PlayStation VR aim controller for PSVR. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies Chronicles DLC for the PS4. For Honor Shadow and Might DLC PC, PS4, and Xbox One. That's one game that has really dropped off everybody's radar. I don't see anybody really playing this game, or it kind of had a spurt and then it died, which is a shame. ACA Neo Geo Overtop for PS4. Akibaz Beat for PS4 and Vita. Baila Latino for PS4. Demo The Last Recital for Vita. Future Unfolding for the PS4. Hakuki, I guess that's what it's called. Sorry. Kyoto Winds for Vita. Operation Babel for New Tokyo Legacy, PS4 and Vita. Seasons After Fall, PS4 and Xbox One. And Tango Fiesta for the PS4. Thursday, May 17th. Yeah, they got the dates screwed up. So May 17th, sorry, not Thursday. You had Black and White Bushido for PS4. Oceanborn Monster of Uncharted Seas for Vita as well. For May 18th, we have Reservoir Dogs Bloody Days for the PC. Thumper for Switch. Cooking Mama Sweet Shop for the 3DS. And on May 19th, we have Shadow Warrior 2 PS4. Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia for 3DS. A lot of people, I've seen it streamed here and there. I think IGN also did a live streaming of the game. I have no opinions on it because I haven't really seen much of it, so I can't really comment. Endless Space 2 for the PC. Chroma Squad for the PS4. Mayan Death Robots for the Xbox One. I guess Nungoons for PC. Sorry, I have no clue how to pronounce that. Portal Knights for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. And Skylar and Plux for Adventure on Clover Island for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. So between Injustice 2, I think The Surge is a big one. The actual trailer was really well made and was really scary, so it looks pretty good. For Honor, other than that, the rest I don't really have an opinion much on it. So those are your games for the week. Let me know what you downloaded, what you bought, if you liked it or not. Let me know. I'm usually not a guy that goes on day one to buy stuff, but I know a lot of people will probably be in line or will download Injustice 2 for sure. All right, so talking point of the week. So last week there was a review for Prey by IGN, where and I'm honest, I completely forgot his name right now from the top of my head. I didn't look it up. He reviewed it for Prey, and he reviewed it, and he gave it a 4.0. And the reason why he gave it a very low mark, and he mentions this in his review, is that the game at one point crashed, and it corrupted his save. So 40 hours into the game, basically he had to start over, or he had to go to a previous save, and even when he went to a previous save, even that was corrupted and would crash from time to time. So he had a horrible experience with the game. So he gave it a 4.0. Now this was reviewed on the PC, and it was clear in the video that they would do a review for the Xbox One and PS4, and and that's it. The internet went mad apparently. I know that IGN often gets a really bad rap for their certain reviews and whatever. In this case, I kind of can't blame the reviewer. I mean, he reviewed a game. It was released. It was officially released. He reviewed it, and it didn't work properly. They fixed it pretty quickly, but the game didn't work for him. So it took away from the experience, and he gave it a low score. Now, again, it's not a rapid, it wasn't consensus that this was happening to everyone. It was reported that it was happening for certain people, but apparently, people just went nuts saying, "How dare you do this?" and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, and this is why one of the reasons why I review a little bit older games, they had time to sit. It's the same thing as a hardware, something, an Apple TV, a new Samsung TV, a new MacBook Pro, a PC, whatever it is. If there's something brand new that comes out, my rule of thumb is always wait a minimum of 6 months, wait till the bugs get out, and then you play it. Games are not much different. And it's even worse now, because games get released on day one, and they need patches most of the time. How many times did I buy a game on Xbox? You start playing it, you download it, great. Start playing, update needed. Why? It just means that they released an incomplete game, which really sucks. Yeah, I know they want to meet that deadline, and they need, for money, for fiscal reasons, whatever the reason is, they need to release the games, which is fine. But a lot of times, day one games suck. There's a lot of bugs, online stuff. Look at The Division. It's a good game. Got a lot of flack for the first month or whatever the case may be because of server issues, whatever. They never really recovered from that. Even though all the stuff was kind of fixed, they never really got back on, in good graces of people. People think of even today, people still think of The Division as being bugged. Same thing with No Man's Sky. It has they've included a lot of new stuff. The criticisms have died down a bit. But in people's minds, they remember, hey, for the first 2 months, the game kind of sucked. There was nothing to do. It was not as advertised, blah, blah, blah. Even I think there was a suit in the UK for false advertising because they advertised certain things and didn't release on that, or they didn't do good on that. I mean, this was this person's experience with this game, and it sucked. Now, since then, they've actually reviewed it again, and they reviewed the score to 8.0, which is a decent score. From everywhere that I've seen from people, it seems that the game is good, but is not really original. It borrows from other games. It's fine. The replay value may not be that high, but it's a fun game if you want to play it, and it's fine. So that's basically the consensus that I find from online, from Twitter, and from certain forums and so on, which is fine. A lot of people have mentioned there were bugs that they, I think, have been fixed since the release. But at the end of the day, that's the whole point of a reviewer. It shouldn't matter what I'm doing or whatever. If I have a bad experience with the game, that's my experience with it, and that review is going to be reflective of that. It shouldn't be it should be independent of what the guy, at XYZ magazine is reviewing it at. He gave it a 10.0. Great. That's fine. He didn't have any bugs. But this particular person had an issue with the game. And for me personally, it's happened to me in the past. Which game was it? It was on the 360. It was... no, it was on the PS3. It was Battlefield 3. I had played it. I had gone up to level 40 something. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it reverted me back to level 13. I said, fuck it, and I didn't do it anymore. I didn't play it anymore. Just because I was like, screw it. It screwed me. I worked all this time to freaking get to a certain level, and it decided to just corrupt my save and go back to a previous save that was a long time ago. So I had put 50, 100 hours in it, and then that's it. So I can understand the frustration of the player and the review he gave. It was his prerogative. It's his review. It's the experience he got. Nobody has any right to complain, really. You can express your opinion and say, no, I did not experience this and it was a good game. That's fine. But he was very clear in his review of what happened and how good it was. One of the reviews on Prey that I actually really like, and I really like these guys, it's the old guys from Game Trailers, which became Easy Allies. I always love their reviews. I don't know. It's so well done, and they explain everything so well, and their opinions are usually bang on with what I think the game is a lot of times. If you haven't had a chance, please go and see them. They're not affiliated to my podcast. They're not sponsoring anything. It's just me being a fan. They're really, really good. They've continued something really, really well with Easy Allies. I just love their reviews, and it's really, really good. And they gave a really good review, which it was along the same lines as this one. The only difference is that for Easy Allies, it didn't crash on him. So he gave it I think it was a 4, which is the same thing that IGN gave it eventually. It was a good game, and that's it. And that's, it happens. And it's going to happen more and more. A lot of people want to have the reviews up on day one and blah, 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 and we have to get this. Well, this is going to happen. Some people have extremely bad experiences with these games, and it should be something that should be dealt with. So, that's my view on it. Let me know what you guys think. I know there was a lot of comments online about this, but let me know what you think. And at any of my coordinates below, I'll let you know where you guys can reach me. And that's it for the talking point of the week. Review of the week this week on Roundtable.ca is Darksiders. I reviewed it finally. I managed to finish the game. It's still a good game. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's really good. It actually, still plays really well for today. Today's standards. There's a few things with the camera which I always struggled with the game. It's kind of like one of those things at the beginning of the 360 where some games had weird camera angles. You control the camera with your thumbstick, but I just rather the game control the camera for me. Sometimes it's convenient to see up and so on, but I think it takes a bit of the game. Sometimes I died because I wasn't looking in the proper area, or I'm trying to shoot somewhere and I didn't have the target, and it just shoots something completely different in a different area. So that was my main complaint. Everything else seems to be good. Similar gameplay as Darksiders 2, which I had played initially. So I played 2 before 1. Similar things, God of War type in Zelda. Find bosses at the end. There's one boss in particular that I struggled with because there's different elements to it, and you really have to go into your interior gaming soul in order to beat it. You have multiple facets to it, so you kind of have to get it's the Tiamat level where you have to take a flaming, I think it's a flaming bomb, and target the fire, target Tiamat, and then it would go and it would shoot and deflect, and then it would explode. Then Tiamat would fall on the tarmac or the platform. You slash and dash, and then then Tiamat will go back, and then you start the process again. So you do it once or twice, and at one point you're like, okay, great, I'm almost there, and almost at the end I always get killed. And a lot of people online have felt the same thing. It's one of the tougher bosses in the game, and it's not the final boss. So it could be a little bit discouraging, but I love the storyline. The storyline was amazing, and I hope that Darksiders 3 will be just as good. I've seen some trailers and some sample gameplay, and it looks really fun. It seems that it's changed a bit, but I have hope that it's going to be good. So maybe that will be one of the games that I will pick up on day one. So that's my Darksiders review on a roundtable. Let me know what you guys think. You guys can reach me you can watch me on Twitch. I don't stream as often as I used to, but I do stream from time to time at Corporate Gamer 9. You can like me on Facebook at Corporate Gamer, Twitter, Corporate Gamer at Corporate Gamer 9. You can watch my videos and my YouTube and my sample gameplays, and you can watch also or listen to my podcast on my YouTube channel. Just search for Corporate Gamer. The website to see all my reviews is roundtable.ca. And you can also listen to my podcast on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, TuneIn, and Stitchers. So that's it for this week's show. Love you guys. Have a good one.